Hi, Analisa 6 here with the Sober Curator and the Lady of Leo to bring you the July 2023 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Leo for sun and rising placements. My hair is bugging the hell out of me. It does not look nearly as good as it did yesterday when I had a fresh blowout. And so I decided for this video to wear the hood. What do you guys think? Hi, Leo, it's us. It's our time. It's our time to talk about our horoscope, and it's almost our season. Happy birthday, July Leos. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to Leo time. So excited. So excited. But I have to say, I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you other Leos. Cancer season, I've been feeling like I'm slowly moving into a depression. And by slowly, I mean, it's here, it's happened. And it's been a lot. It's been hard for me. I feel very impacted by Cancer season. And it's interesting because Venus and Mars are in Leo. And so, we've got a lot of energy in Leo. Like we start out July with Venus and Mars still in Leo, but we also have Pallas Athena, the warrior goddess, she's in Leo. And then we also have Lilith in Leo. And it's just, kind of interesting to think about that energy all being activated in Leo, and the fact that we're in Cancer season. And yet I feel just like, a crybaby all the time. I don't know if you guys have been feeling that way, but that's been me. I don't think I'm getting a lot of my needs met in a way that is promoting happiness. But let's talk about that. So we start out, July in Cancer season. We've been in Cancer season for a little while. It's summer. It's, great time to get out and hang out in a pool and do fun summer stuff. And we also start out with Mercury in Cancer, which Mercury entered Cancer at the end of June. And so we've already been in that frequency. But a little thing that's different about July 1st is that we have what's called a cazimi happening in the sign of Cancer. So the sun and Mercury are both in a conjunction. And then we also have Juno, the asteroid that represents marriage and contractual partnership, is also in this little conjunction. She's not exact. She's not in the cazimi, but she's, hanging out kind of on the sidelines watching. And so the area that this is hitting for the Leo chart is the area that has to do with the subconscious. And so I think that, if I speak anecdotally for me as to why I might be feeling some of this depressive energy, is that this cazimi is an aspect to Saturn. It's not exact, but Saturn's at 7 degrees. The sun and Mercury are at 9 degrees. Juno's at 5 degrees. And we have the 8th house activated and the 12th house activated. And when water signs are in these houses, which water signs rule these houses, we can be more prone to deep emotional feelings that can lead us towards reflecting on the past or reflecting on past memories, whether they're good memories or bad memories. And it can put us into a nostalgic state, a depressed state, depending on, the way that we're kind of processing things. And I will say that's been true for me since Cancer season started. I feel like I've been reminiscing a lot about the past. I've had a lot of dreams about the past, which is where this Cancer energy is in. I've had some really weird dreams about the past, especially my musical life, dreams that I'm playing shows, working with musicians that I've worked with in the past, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of my past stuff has been, coming up through my subconscious. And that's the area that's highlighted for Leo right now, the dream world, the subconscious, the past, trauma from the past, things like that. And for the Leo horoscope, Saturn and Neptune are going to be in this area for a while. We're already kind of having that activation in terms of the past memory, like around, sexual trauma or things like that. And then we also, during Cancer season, just have that, kind of soul journey, karmic journey, and the dreams are elevated. So things, that we're kind of feeling into. The area that Venus and Mars, Pallas Athena, and Lilith are in has to do with our identity and our sense of self. And when Venus is passing through here, it's really important that we're doing things that align us with feeling more in alignment with ourselves, with whatever that means to us. So adorning ourselves, doing our hair, doing things that make us feel beautiful is really important. And Venus passing through here too, we might also feel, especially with Mars and Pallas Athena here, we might feel inclined to want to change something about ourselves. But Lilith here, Lilith is one of those, energetic frequencies that I've heard and read a lot of various things about. There's kind of this like idea that she's the repressed feminine that needs to get out and expressed. There's also like the dark side of Lilith that people talk about that has to do with kind of more of these problematic behaviors that are, you know, kind of like the problematic female that's wrathful and violent and angry and all this stuff. There's so much stuff about it. I think that Lilith, from my own kind of experience going through it in Leo right now, I think does feel more like repressed creative energy. And when that's not getting expressed fully, it turns into depression or kind of this lack of fulfillment. And maybe even more of this kind of I don't know, I think that I'm going to be really vulnerable right now. I'm having a really, really, really difficult time with self-love and self-acceptance. And I keep actively trying to do creative things and put myself out there to just keep myself creative, because my Leo self, I know, really needs that. So I'm continuing to make videos on my Instagram and style outfits and, you know, do things that in the moment I find really fun and fulfilling. But once I've put it out there, I go into kind of this like cringe mode with myself, where I see all of my faults, or I see where I'm not perfect, or, you know, where my hair looks funky in some ways, or where I'm aging, or, you know, like I'm blessed with these beautiful thick eyebrows. Like I have great eyebrows, but sometimes I feel like I get into this mode where I see all these people laminating their brows and having these like perfect structured brows, and it's obvious that they have Botox, and it's obvious that all their little imperfections are not as visible as mine. And I think that I go into these placements of like, you know, my Mercury and Virgo kind of like over critiquing, like, should I laminate my brows? Should I pencil my brows in more? You know, watching me on this video, should I have done my makeup more so that my face doesn't look as dull? You know, like I get into all of this kind of first house dissection, and I don't think I realize how negative that impacts me, you know? So then I also go through this period of trying to undo all of that and just embrace and accept myself for where I am now. Like today, like my hair, I'm just like, I'm not going to sit and give myself another full blowout like I did yesterday. I don't have the energy. I'm tired. It's fine. You know, like my hair is good enough right now. It's not perfect. I'm not a celebrity walking the red carpet. My hair doesn't need to be perfect all the time. But like, that's seriously how this Mars, Lilith, Venus, Pallas, Athena, Leo, first house energy is. I also have been thinking, do I need to dye my hair darker again? Am I done being blonde? And then I'm like, oh, no, don't worry about it. So I've been in that bubble of like first house dissecting, reflecting my relationship to self. You know, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What drives me? Where am I feeling passion? And then reflecting on the past, you know, reflecting on these past versions of myself, and, you know, these other kinds of dreams happening that, you know, I'm not really sure what to do with. And we've got a lot of energy happening with that kind of theme, like the dream, the possibilities. And, you know, so if you watch the July astrology forecast, you'll hear there's a lot of transits happening between the Leo energy and the Piscean energy. So the Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, and then the stellium that we have in Leo, and when the sun enters Leo, making aspects to those placements too. And so Leo, you know, rules our self-expression, creative self-expression, passion, joy, our inner child, you know, kind of connection to joy and creative energy, and sharing that with others, wanting to connect and share that with others. Pisces rules also kind of this side of creative expression that has a lot to do with the imagination, visions, you know, kind of like what can we sit and fantasize about and then cultivate into something that spiritually speaks to us from the soul, from the heart space. Like both Leo and Pisces have a very strong connection to like the heart space in that way, wanting to be creative and connected to spirit and soul and this kind of like ethereal, imaginative energy. And I have both really strong in my chart. And then we have all these aspects happening between them. And so we start out July where we might be in this like imagination land, you know, this dream land of the possibilities, the potential. And it's very ungrounding, you know, it might, like, I think for me, some of the depression's coming from all of the things that I wish I was doing that I'm not really capable of doing in my life right now, or it's just not there yet. And so I get in this mode of kind of overthinking that stuff and kind of being like, God, I wish I was doing that, or I wish I was doing this, or maybe if I did it this way or that way. And then it just kind of, you know, compounds into a lot of different ideas that I'm not really sure what to do with. So we have a lot of that kind of energy in the ether. And, you know, if you're in recovery, like I am too, there can be kind of this need to escape through the imagination, and it can trigger kind of some of the reasons why we sought out drugs and alcohol in the first place, you know, which is kind of getting more into that dreamy state. For me, you know, alcohol was something that I used to cope with things because it would just make me not care, you know, like my anxiety would go away, my sensitivity, you know, like being so sensitive to energy, like it wouldn't necessarily change that, but it would just make me not care about it as much. And I also used it to just let loose, you know, I would always, whenever I would drink, I would just put on records and sing as loud as I want and dance and do all of that. And not that I can't do that stuff sober, because I do, but it's just, you know, I have to work harder at getting into that place with myself, whereas with alcohol, you know, it would just kind of knock me in there. And so that might be something to kind of think about, where, you know, what's your relationship to your creative self, and are you able to access it without substances? If you're somebody that's still using them, and if you're somebody in recovery, how do you activate those parts of yourself without needing to rely on substances? Because sometimes still activating that side of yourself that's just carefree and can dance and have fun and do all that is really important and necessary for a creative person, especially a Leo. So it might be good to kind of find ways to get to tap into that, which I know I really need right now. Like I really need to tap into that for sure. All right, so July 3rd, which is happening in a couple days, we're going to have a full moon at 11 degrees of Capricorn, and the area that this is hitting for the Leo horoscope has to do with our house that rules our health. And so if we have things that we like, intentions that we want to set around our health, this is a really good time for that. Also, if there's energy that you want to release that is kind of in the way of you, you know, having more structure and more of a routine in place that's health, you know, promotes good health for you. Maybe this is a time where you release some of the things that are getting in the way of that energetically. I did a candle for this full moon where I really wanted to focus on releasing this depression and this negative energy that I've been feeling. And I do know that when I'm in this headspace, it does affect my health. And so I know part of me getting back into a healthier space in myself is kind of releasing and letting go some of these negative thought patterns that I've been having. And then, you know, setting intentions towards what I want, which is more positivity, more energy, more of this kind of like structured routine that promotes, you know, success. My dog's being so cute right now. It's cuddling me and being very sweet. All right, so as we get later into July, after our full moon, we have on the 10th, Mercury is actually going to be leaving Cancer and joining Leo. And so I'm hoping that this is helpful for me and all of us Leos in the sense that maybe it gives us more ideas and perspective on how we want to cultivate more of that relationship to self that maybe we've been reflecting on during Cancer season. And so Mercury coming into Leo might actually amplify more of our confidence with Venus here. And Mars is leaving this area, which I'm actually really excited about. I am a natal Mars in Virgo, and Mars is entering Virgo on the same day that Mercury is entering Leo. And Mars is entering the area of finances. And so I'm not super stoked about that. I actually feel a little like about Mars entering the area of finances, just because wherever Mars is passing through, we can experience some conflict or hardship. But the other plus side of Mars here is that Mars in Virgo specifically is really good at strategizing and problem solving and creating a good plan. So getting financial advisement or counsel or a budget or a plan in place is actually really positive while Mars is passing through Virgo in July. The other thing that can be really good about Mars here is that you're just more determined to figure out kind of financial stuff in a way that you need to. But again, Mars here there can be financial hardship or things that come up that you weren't expecting that require you to have to problem solve and strategize. So I'm not super stoked about this because I'm a Leo and then my husband is a Leo rising. And so knowing that we're both impacted pretty straightforwardly in our finances in that way, I'm just like, no, we have so many plans in July that are expensive too. So that makes sense. We're going to be spending a lot of money in July. So honestly, it all makes sense, right? So Mars also is going to be making a trine to Jupiter later in the month, towards the end of the month in Leo season. And hopefully that's beneficial since Jupiter's in Taurus. Maybe it brings in some opportunity since that's happening in the area of career. So I think there's an opportunity to expand and grow, but also for, things to come just as fast as they go in that way. On the 17th, the nodal axis which has been in Taurus and Scorpio for the last year and a half, is going to be moving into Aries, Libra. And so the area that's been highlighted has been work and home and family. And now it's moving more into travel, long distance travel. This is very interesting for my husband, actually, because he's starting to travel. He's literally starting to travel when this happens, and he's Leo rising. So funny to me. And we are going on a big trip together in August. We're doing a big road trip together. So this is very accurate for both of us and very funny to me. So long distance travel, but then also our values and belief systems, education, like higher learning and education, also communication gets highlighted in relationships too. So God, why are horoscopes so accurate? It's like, even when it's not your personal birth chart, I'm always like, whenever I do this and it's the sign for myself and my husband, I'm always like, what? Blown away every time still after all these years. So yeah, so that's happening on the 17th. And then what's also happening on the 17th is that we have our new moon in Cancer. So before we fully leave Cancer season, we'll have a new moon at 24 degrees of Cancer. And then that's happening in that area that Cancer's been, kind of activating, which is the subconscious, our dreams, more of that like ethereal soul-centered energy. I've also heard people talk about this area as like hidden secrets and things like that, which I find interesting. I don't really know if I relate to the chart in a personal way that way, but I just in terms of how that area, like, I guess because I overshare, like one of the things I've noticed about myself that I really, this is like a Leo pride thing. I don't like secrets. I'm not somebody that likes to have them. And I don't like that other people have them. And it's just interesting. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a secret, but I grew up in this way, I think, realizing that if you don't have any secrets, then you don't have to worry about people finding out about your secrets. And so I chose very young, like that was like a logic to me, which I don't know how old I was, but I had to have been in elementary school. And I just feel like, what kid thinks about that? Sagittarius rising. I was like, if you have secrets, then you're going to have a lot of conflict in life, because then you're always worried about keeping people from knowing your secrets. But if you don't have any secrets and you're an open book, then you don't have to worry about it. And so then you just won't have that drama in your life. And it's true. I don't have any fucking secrets. So I feel like I don't have that drama. And so when I hear people refer to the 12th house as secrets or hidden things, I don't really relate to it, because I'm an open book. Like, I feel like, I'll keep other people's secrets. Like, if somebody tells me, like, I'm sharing this with you in confidence, I don't want you to tell anybody, like, I'll do that for somebody else. But for me, it's just not really something that I resonate with. So, I think that's interesting. But if you're somebody that does, like, my point in bringing that up is, if you're somebody that has, kind of this hidden part of your life, or things that you are ashamed of, this new moon, that might bring up some of those feelings. And if that's something that you're processing and needing to bring up to the surface and work through, this new moon is a positive time to work through healing some of those things. I think that's easier said than done. I mean, healing isn't like, oh, a new moon's happening, so you're going to sit and ponder this, and then after the new moon passes, you're going to heal it. But it might be something where there's layers, to it that need your attention, maybe setting some intentions around how you want to heal and nurture and move on from some of that energy is positive, because new moons are all about setting intention. So if I think about it, from my perspective on how Cancer season's been impacting me with some of my depression, an intention that I would really like to set is, how do I move kind of out of this funk in a way where I'm not stuck in this cycle of, critiquing myself and letting kind of my past trauma around being bullied continue to be a narrative in my head. I mean, I'm honestly kind of shocked sometimes that I still put myself out there, especially on the internet, because I was bullied really bad putting myself out there. But I think as somebody that enjoys being creative and wants to share, it's part of me. Like, it's part of something that it's almost like a need that I have to fulfill for myself, And so it's just, I can't let getting bullied and people making fun of me on the internet determine what I do with my life, right? So I think that there's intentions around me being kinder to myself, or not necessarily letting those narratives be operating in the subconscious so much still, because they still do. I still think back to what people used to say about me or say to me, and I also have shame around how I responded to those things, because I just had a teenager reaction. And it's like, I was a teenager. I don't need to have shame about that. I think most kids would have responded in a pretty crappy way to the things that I went through. So I think having more acceptance and forgiveness on this new moon is positive for me. And I just share my anecdotes, not to make it all about me, but because I don't think that it's ethical for me to share other people's anecdotes necessarily. And if that resonates for any other Leos in any kind of form of what you've been working through, those are just ideas on how you can utilize some of this energy and reflect and move through some of these feelings. Leo season starts on July 23rd. And so we enter into our shine time during that. So the sun will be entering the area that Venus has been in. And Venus is also going to be stationing retrograde that day. So, as much as I am hoping to move past some of my insecurities, during the new moon, Venus retrograde in the area of self might really be bringing up a lot of those insecurities more. And so it's really imperative that you work on active self-care and self-love rituals and healing any issues around the identity or the self. Oof, man, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it so much already. And, we're in that shadow period now in July. We're in the retrograde shadow. So we'll be feeling this buildup, and then it's activated as soon as Leo season starts on the 23rd. On the 29th, well, I think it happens really on the 28th in the Pacific Standard Time, but in that time frame, Mercury is going to be entering Virgo and entering that area of finances and material security that Mars is in, which I'm actually really stoked about, because I think if, there's been some financial conflict or problems that have happened in July because of Mars here, Mercury will hopefully come and help kind of problem solve those things. We also will be entering that Mercury retrograde shadow with Mercury in Virgo starting in August. And so this is a really important time to get your finances in order before that retrograde happens. So just things to think about, and, be kind of contemplating. I'm really contemplating how this is impacting me on a personal level. So I apologize. It's really hard for me not to do that while I am doing these horoscopes, but I hope that was insightful. I'm always curious how other Leos are processing some of this information, because obviously I project a lot of my own experience for the sake of storytelling and anecdotes in these videos, but I understand too that we're all different. All of us Leos, we might share similar, ways that we relate to the world and certain things that we find of value, but, obviously we're all going through different things. So I'll be curious, if you want to let me know in the comments, if you watched this whole video, how has Cancer season been for you so far? Are you resonating with kind of this identity crisis a little bit, wanting to maybe, heal relationship to self or the past or the subconscious? Do you have past memories coming up that you feel like you're really having to reflect on and spend time with? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. And if you liked this video, hit like, subscribe if you don't like it. don't watch them anymore. Just see you later. Have a good life. I don't blame you. I talk a lot. All right. I'll see you guys in August. Happy birthday, July Leos, and good luck to us getting through it.